Hi, in this video, I'm gonna discuss and read the Customs Memorandum Order of 22 to 2010 Operational Provisions. Operational Provisions. In Section 13, Statutory Provisions on Entrance and Clearance, the provisions of Section 1001 to 1025 to the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines, as amended on entrance and clearance of vessels, are deemed incorporated in this manual. Section 14, Pre-Arrival. Notice of Arrival or NOA with Estimated Time of Arrival or ETA. The shipping agent or representative of any vessel engaged in foreign trade entering any of the Philippine ports of entry shall notify the Piers and Inspection Division, Bay Service Section, or its equivalent office of the vessel's arrival and all other particulars at least 24 hours in advance. Upon receipt of the notice of arrival, the Customs Inspector or E2M to OIC of the Piers and Inspection Division, Bay Service Section, or its equivalent office shall perform the following functions. Number 1, electronically verify the vessel's registry number or principal and other vessel information through Client Profile Registration System or CPRS. Number 2, input the estimated time of arrival or ETA in the E2M custom system. Number 3, encode the time and date in the system and affix his signature on the hard copy of notice of arrival. And last, furnish the customs boarding team a copy of the process notice of arrival or NOA. Next, assignment of customs boarding team. The custom boarding team shall be assigned by the Chief Bay Service Section or equivalent office through a duly assigned assignment order. Section 12, Item Number 4. Hereto is contained therein all documents except copies for the customs inspector on board the vessel shall be forwarded to the office of Chief Bay Service Section or its equivalent office for transmittal to offices concerned. Inward Foreign Manifest and Consolidated Cargo Manifest Contents. The hard copy of Inward Foreign Manifest required to be submitted by the master of vessel to the boarding officer shall obtain the following information: bill of landing number, marks and numbers of cartoons, drums, boxes, crates, and other forms of protective packaging or for break bulk, container and seal number or if containerized, and initials FCL if full container load and LCL if less container load, number of packages, kind of packages, cartoons, boxes, crates, drums, etc., contents of description of cargo, shipper, consignee, gross weight in metric tons, measurement in cubic meters, port of origin, notified party. Inward foreign cargo manifest submitted not in accordance with the above requirements shall be rejected. The customs senior boarding officer shall with his initials note down on all the copies of inward foreign cargo manifest delivered to him by the master of vessel the specific time and date when such documents were received. In the inward foreign cargo manifest is not in the English language, the customs senior boarding officer shall require the translation to English before accepting the same. Number 1, late submission. The first offense was should pay the 10,000 pesos. Second offense, 20,000 pesos. Third offense, 30,000 pesos. Non-compliant submission, 30,000 pesos. Section 15, Arrival, Documents or Permits. Quarantine certificate for incoming vessels from a foreign port. Entry of vessels from any port or place outside of the Philippines shall not be permitted until they have obtained a quarantine certificate issued under the authority of Bureau of Quarantine. However, if a vessel has already been issued a quarantine certificate in the first Philippine port of entry, she will not be required to undergo another quarantine formalities at succeeding ports of call in the Philippines. No person shall be allowed to board or leave the vessel before any governed by the quarantine regulations in such contingencies. The certificate shall part of the required documents to be received by the customs senior boarding officer from the master of the vessel. No quarantine permit shall be required for the discharge of regularly manifested cargo, including animals, plants, etc., unless otherwise required law of regulations. However, if animals or plants are carried as baggage, their discharge shall be subject to the regulation promulgated by the Bureau of Office concerned. Entrance of vessel from the foreign port. Upon arrival of a vessel from foreign port, Bureau of Customs OPM Form Number 9, Oath of Entering Vessel from a Foreign Port with Customs Documentary Stamp duly accomplished by the Master in 4. The following customs personnel shall be members of the customs boarding team: Customs Senior Boarding Officer, Customs Inspector, and Customs Guards. Submission of advance electronic manifest before arrival of vessels engaged in foreign trade through E2M customs system and penalties. The submission of electronic copy of inward foreign manifest E2I FM and electronic copy of consolidated cargo manifest must be done through any of the value-added services providers accredited by the BOC, Bureau of Customs. The EIFM, in the case of shipping lines, must be electronically submitted at least 12 hours before arrival of the carrying vessel. The ECCM, in case of non-vessel operating common carrier, cargo consolidator, or co-loader or break-bulk agent, must be submitted at least 6 hours before arrival of a carrying vessel. The cutoff time of e-manifest submission is calculated from the submitted estimated date and time of arrival using the Bureau of Customs Gateway Service clock. The EIFM must be submitted ahead of the ECCM. If the ECCM is submitted ahead of EIFM, the ECCM will not be registered in the E2M custom system, but has to be resubmitted when the EIFM is already registered. Registration of a manifest. The system automatically registered a manifest in the E2M custom system if the manifest meets the submission deadline. However, if the deadline is missed, the concerned shipping line or agent should submit a formal request letter to the office, the Deputy Collector of Operations, to allow a Bureau of Customs in 3-dated manual registration of the manifest in E2M. Only the Deputy Collector for Operations can approve the request and execute the manual registration through the direct register function in E2M. A late or non-compliant submission fee will be charged for his procedure following the schedule of fines provided in Section 2521 of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines as amended. as amended, copies shall be represented to the office of the Customs Clearance Officer with 24 hours. Documents to be produced by master upon entry of vessel. The following documents properly accomplished shall be submitted by the Master of Customs Senior Boarding Officer: quarantine certificate, pratique, clearance of vessel from last port call, original and 4 copies of inward foreign manifest duly signed by the master. 3 copies of each of the following: Number 1, crew list, passenger list for aliens as required by immigration law enforced in the Philippines. Copy of original duplicate of bills lading, bonded store list, narcotics and dangerous drug list, shipping store list, mail list, firearms and ammunition list, crew declaration list, parcel list, or shipping articles and register of the vessel of Philippine Registry. Through cargo manifest, if any, which shall be deposited to the customs inspector and shall be returned to the master prior to departure to other ports. Cargo stowage plan or hatch list. If passenger vessel, 3 copies of disembarking passenger list and other baggage declaration. Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall, after carefully comparing the copies with the original manifest, stamp each of such manifest on last page thereof with a rubber stamp provided for that purpose, and verify that the necessary information required in accordance with all articles, wares, goods, merchandise, and any other cargo including unaccomplished baggage, the orders of an cargo from abroad received by the master, officers, and crew of vessels without bills of lading or not covered by manifest or parcel list shall be subjected to seizure as unmanifested cargo under the custom law. Distribution of inward foreign manifest hard copies. In inward foreign manifest shall be distributed to the following offices: original copy, Peers and Inspection Division or equivalent office; 1 copy, Commission on Audit, Resident Auditor through Office of the Commissioner; 1 copy, Intelligent Group; 1 copy of Assessment and Operations Monitoring Group. Next, permit of discharge and lading of cargo. Unless the vessel has put into in distress, the Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall, upon placing the vessel under customs surveillance and control, issue a general permit. Such permit, however, shall not constitute an authority for the loading, export cargo, or delivery of import cargo at shipside without the required entries or permits as the case may be. The general permit shall be endorsed by the customs inspector assigned on board the vessel mentioned in the permit, at the back thereof showing whatever all port cargoes has been discharged at the port or not. Such permits shall be included in this report after the termination of the assignment on board vessel. 6. Endorsement of permits. The following permits shall be endorsed on the reverse side thereof: first, the general permit, the shipside permit, permits for the sending of special consignments of cargo to the piers or to the parcel section, and permits issued by the Deputy Collector for Operations or its equivalent office for the transfer of cargo from one vessel to another. All endorsement and returns shall be signed over the printed name and executed clearly and legibly, especially with reference to any figures that may be included. All minor corrections shall be initiated by the endorsing officer. All other permits shall be endorsed on the reverse side thereof. Shipside permits. Shipside permit, when duly processed and approved by the Collector of Customs or the Deputy Collector of Operations or its equivalent office as the case may be, is an authority for the customs inspector assigned on vessel to allow the discharge of cargoes specified on the permit at shipside and to lighters underguarded. The three kinds of shipside permits. Regular shipside permit issued by the Deputy Collector for Operations or its equivalent office as now presently required for all cargoes which belong to the categories of regular shipside cargoes under existing regulations. Special shipside permit when cargoes do not belong to regular shipside cargoes, such as ballast, garbage, provisions, watering, bunkering, vessel parts of repair. The ship's agent has to get the authority from the collector of customs prior to the processing and approval by the deputy collector of operation or its equivalent office. Temporary shipside permit is a written authority to discharge cargoes at shipside and to lighter as per order of the collector of customs. The permit shall be forwarded direct to the customs inspector of the carrying vessel without entry being filed. This is issued only as an emergency measure so as not delay ship operations. This permit also issued on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays with there no offices to process the regular shipside permit. Several conditions are usually imposed in the issuance of the temporary permit, among which are that the cargo is underguarded continuously until released by the Bureau of Customs, that the lighter shall not be taken out of the customs designated barge pool area until the regular shipside permit is issued by Deputy Collector for Operations or its equivalent office and is presented to the customs inspector of the carrying vessel and the Deputy Collector for Operations or Chief Piers and Inspection Division or its equivalent office be duly notified of the discharge under temporary permit. Pending issuance of shipside permit. Pending issuance of shipside delivery permit, the customs inspector on board may receive written requests from consignees, countersigned by the ship's agents and approved by the collector of customs that certain designated goods be discharged into separate carriers. Under such circumstances, the same procedure is enjoined as the case of shipside delivery, except the consignment shall be held alongside the vessel underguarded. Provide that, in case no permit is received by the customs inspector on board within 72 hours from the time of discharge, the Chief Bay Services Section or its equivalent office shall be advised accordingly so that the cargo may be sent to the customs designated barge pool area or piers wharf underguarded. The customs inspector assigned on a vessel who allows the discharge of cargoes at shipside shall comply strictly with the conditions and/or requirements stated on the permit, and prior to the unloading of the cargoes, he must first check the cargoes mentioned in the permit against the inward foreign manifest. After effecting total discharge of cargoes unto lighter, the customs inspector shall endorse the shipside permit at the back thereof, specifying the quantity of cargoes discharged. He must indicate the names of lighters loaded and corresponding names of the customs guards in charge of each lighter loaded. A copy of transfer note covering the shipment together with the corresponding guard's check report made by the customs guard in charge shall be attached to the shipside permit for submission to the record section, Piers and Inspection Division or its equivalent unit. Transfer note, boat note shall be made in sextuplate by the customs inspector on board. For cargoes delivers at shipside, the transfer note shall show the following: name of vessel and registry number, name of lighter, name of broker and or consignee, shipside permit number, marks and numbers, kinds of description of goods, time and date lighter left alongside the vessel, names and signatures of customs inspector, customs guard in charge of lighter and the patron of the lighter, and any other information and or remarks such as conditions set forth of the shipside permit by the collector of customs. Copies of the prepared transfer note shall be distributed as follows: original duplicate to customs guard in charge, triplicate attached to the shipside permit together with the guard's check report, quadruplicate to patron of the lighter, quadruplicate inspector file, quintuplicate inspector file, sextuplicate attached to the booklet of the transfer note issuing officer. Next, boarding sequence. The vessel upon arrival from foreign port at the port of entry and after the issuance of quarantine certificate or pratic by the Bureau of Quarantine shall be boarded into the following order: Customs Senior Boarding Officer, Customs Inspector, and Customs Guard assigned to the vessel. Immigration Officer, Department of Agriculture or Plant, Animal, Fisheries, Quarantine Representative as required. Other agencies or persons authorized by the Collector of Customs. Next, Customs Boarding Team on Foreign Vessel. The Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall replace the vessel under customs control and surveillance by posting a customs inspector and customs guard thereon. Second, no person shall be permitted to go on board such vessel except the pilot, consul, health officials, immigration and customs officer without the permission of the customs inspector on board vessel. Third, no tugboat, rowboat, or other watercraft shall be allowed to go alongside the vessel to ferry any person to or from the vessel without a permit from the collector of customs or his duly authorized representative. And fourth, unauthorized tugboats, rowboats, and other watercraft shall keep away from such vessel engaged in foreign trade at a distance of not less than 50 meters. Next, actual time of arrival of foreign vessel through E2M customs system. After boarding formalities, the E2M OIC of Beers and Inspection Division Bay Service Section shall input the actual time of arrival from a boarding information sheet submitted by the Customs Boarding Officer. Next, submission of Supplemental Cargo Manifest. Supplemental E-Manifest submission is treated as non-compliant late submission and shall be subject to penalty as stated at Part 2, Section 4C of this manual. Supplemental A-Manifest must be submitted in hard copies and electronic form within the period prescribed in CAO 6/2007 and CMO 37/2009. Otherwise, the shipment subject of the supplemental manifest will be considered unmanifested and subject to seizure proceedings. Submission of supplemental e-manifest. First, cargoes or containers not listed in the IFM but are otherwise recorded in a stowage plan must be covered by a supplemental e-manifest submitted to the Bureau of Customs through the VASP not later than 48 hours from date of discharge of the last package from the vessel. Second, for cargoes and containers not listed on the IFM and storage plan, the supplemental e-manifest must be submitted not later than 24 hours from the date of last package, and in both cases, the Deputy Collector for Operations and the Chief Pierce and Inspection Division or its equivalent office monitor the 48 or the 24 hours rule as the case may be formed authorizing the registration of the supplemental e-manifest into the electronic manifest system. Unloading of cargoes. Number 1, containerized. Discharging of containerized cargoes shall be authorized only upon issuance of general permit by the Customs Senior Boarding Officer. Thereafter, unloading of containers shall commence. During unloading, the customs inspector or customs guard on board foreign vessel shall verify the container numbers against the discharging sequence. Customs inspector or customs guards shall check or inspect if the container seals are intact. Last, submit discharging report shall be submitted upon completion of the unloading operation. Next, bulk and break bulk. The clearance of cargoes of bulk and break bulk cargoes or shipments such of liquids, chemicals, petroleum products, and all other cargoes shipped in bulk, break bulk, the duties and taxes of which are normally determined by weight, wood, steel, coal, grain, etc., shall be governed by pertinent regulations, more particularly CAO 3 2010 and CMO 18 to 2010 on procedure for the bulk and break bulk cargo clearance enhancement program mandated under Administrative Order AO number 243 as amended by AO 243-2A. The said CAO and CMO allows under certain conditions the filing of import entry, license payment, proper duties, taxes, and other fees prior to the arrival of vessel in the Philippine port of destination and immediately cause the discharge and withdrawal of same from customs premises and our custody provided that the declaration of the import entries are confirmed by the load port survey report, and upon presentation of the proof of payment, duties, taxes, and other fees, as well as compliance with other prerequisites for valid importation. The accredited surveyor may be allowed to board the vessel of purposes of securing need for discharge port survey report due to absence of load port survey report or upon agreement by the shipper and consignee upon appropriate instruction from one-stop shop headed by the Deputy Commissioner of Assessment and Operations, a coordinating group. In the event that the shipment is covered by an alert order or that the shipment is different from the details in the entry, the customs inspector or the customs guard assigned on board the vessel shall inform in writing the formal entry division or its equivalent office, attention the concerned customs examiner or appraiser, through the office of the Chief Pierce and Inspection Division, indicating therein the exact location of the shipment or the usual custom examination and processing of the entry. Um, in 2.1, unloading of bulk and breakable cargoes at shipside. Shipside discharge of cargoes shall be authorized only upon presentation of necessary shipside permit issued by the Deputy Collector of Operations. Upon receipt of the shipside permit, the customs inspector assigned on board shall verify the subject permit covered by the shipside permit against the inward foreign manifest um, as to the correctness of marks and numbers, quantity, kind of merchandise, weight, etc. Issue a transfer note in certificate covering the shipment mentioned on the permit, setting forth the conditions and or requirements imposed by the collector of customs on the face of the shipside permit. Assign a customs guard to check the shipside permit so that only those authorized to be discharged are unloaded. Assign the regular customs guard to underguard the lighter with the cargoes if the permit so stipulates. When breakable cargoes are to be discharged into lighters, the customs inspectors shall not allow any cargo to be unloaded without first obtaining the ton or inch per immersion table of the lighter of the patron. And that's all. Thank you for watching.